All right, News Radio 1070, WINA 737, and thank you so much for joining us here on the Saturday special of the Schilling Show. We'll take a little break right now from our affordable housing talk, which will continue in a bit. This is Josh Goldschmidt coming in from the developer's point of view, and Billy Campbell coming in to talk to us about affordable housing discussion and seminar that's coming up here in the community. You know, we are continuing our ongoing series right now of presidential candidates, and this morning I'm very pleased to welcome in not from the Ron Paul campaign, but local Ron Paul supporters who are here on behalf of the Ron Paul campaign to discuss the issues. David Brown and Bill Ways are with us this morning. Thanks so much for getting early and coming in to see us here on the Schilling Show.
Well, thanks for having us in, Rob.
All righty. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about why you were enthusiastic about Ron Paul. He's certainly a different type of candidate than we see in the rest of the Republican field, and certainly way different from the Democrats. So what is it about Ron Paul?
For me, it's the message of the Constitution, following the rule of law, and getting back to working from the framework of the Constitution. I believe our government's gotten so far away from the original ideas of the founders, and Ron is the only one talking about these issues. A lot of the other candidates pay lip service to the Constitution, but he's the only one who's actually voted that way. And that's really what got me interested in him, is his consistent voting record. He's been saying the same thing for 20, 25 years. And you got to love a guy like that who's consistent in his principle. And honestly, I think he's got the best ideas of any candidate out there.
I would agree. I have a special take on it. I've known Ron for about 20 years. I've kind of followed his career in Congress, and when he first ran for president 20 years ago, and I just know him to be, a truly upstanding individual, and a person that just exudes trust and real honesty and passion and commitment. I mean, his ideas are very timeless. They kind of harken back to the founding of the country. And every once in a while, in a generation or so, those ideas come back to the fore when the country is in a time of crisis. And I think that's where we are right now. And, we've kind of lost our way. And I think he's coming out and reminding us that, we are a country that was founded on the principles of liberty. And these are embodied in the Constitution. And so he's kind of, if you will, holding a mirror up to our faces and saying, look, you're an American. This is what America's all about, and let me remind you. And I think it's just amazing the enthusiasm that he's generated. I've seen it myself. I do a lot of work in New York, and I've just seen hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of young people coming out and cheering the message of liberty, and it's really heartwarming. And really exciting.
It's interesting, we just heard a political commercial for Hillary Clinton, and I think where it's gone today, even from the local level, and we heard it earlier this morning on the whole affordable housing thing, is what can you give me? I mean, how far away have we gotten from John Kennedy, who was a Democrat, but a Democrat who was a different Democrat than those today? And here's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you health care. I'm going to give you money for this. I'm going to give you money for affordable housing. And how do we tell Americans, especially young Americans, who many of them are kind of on the handout mentality that's been going on ever since those policies came into effect, a lot of it in the 60s, and the Great Society and so forth. How do we tell them that America is really not about getting handouts, but it's about what you can contribute in following the Constitution and being part of a great nation by working? I mean, how do we get that message across?
Well, I'll tell you, that message is getting across. If you watch Ron speak to young people, and these videos are all over YouTube, which is another great thing too. We don't have to wait for the big media to actually record the speeches. It's really quite incredible. They actually get it. They do get it because they know that they're about to inherit a national debt that's larger than the average mortgage, on a house, even in Charlottesville. They're really enthusiastic. They know that they're kind of going to get the raw end of the deal here. And I think also too, young people are more idealistic too. They're not about kind of, I need this bill paid and I need that bill paid. They're about, they're more likely to think about the ideas. So they're actually getting it, and that's why Ron really has the biggest support amongst the youth.
News Radio 1070 WINA at 7:42 here on the Saturday special of the Schilling Show. We have supporters of Ron Paul here in the studio, and they will be happy to take your calls at 977-1070 if you have comments or questions for them about the Ron Paul campaign. They'd love to hear from you. And I'd like us to get into, because our time is going by so quickly here, some of the specific positions of the Ron Paul campaign so people can understand him a little bit better. And I'd first like to start out with debt and taxes, and I know that is a biggie for Ron Paul.
Absolutely. Ron, simply put, as quickly as I can do it, has a 4-point plan: tax reform, spending reform, monetary policy reform, and regulatory reform. These are 4 things he'll tackle as soon as he gets into office. I think everybody can agree that our tax system is broke. Anybody who works for a living and looks at their paycheck at the end of the week knows that something is awry here. And something's got to be done to correct these things. Our government was never set up to be our benefactor. It should not be set up like that. The 16th Amendment, passed for the income tax in 1913, assumes that the government owns all income and allows us to keep a certain percentage of it. That is a mentality that's got to be overcome. We have to do something to reverse that trend and get people to realize that that is your money, that the government, we give to the government, and you should be allowed to keep most of your tax money. It just doesn't seem fair.
You know, Ron, of course, is really good on this issue. He's actually walked the walk as well as talked the talk, and he's never voted for a tax increase. He's never voted for an unbalanced budget. He's actually kind of known somewhat, negatively with the establishment as Dr. No, because he's constantly voting against unconstitutional spending. He's really the only candidate that gets up there and actually says, yes, we have to cut taxes, absolutely. And I think he's introduced bills in the past to try to, lower the income tax, if not repeal it.
Well, he's got a bill actually right now in Congress to no taxes on tips, where any person who's waiting tables and makes their money in tips will not be taxed on them.
Which is how it used to be some years ago, as I recall.
Right. The law has been changed in the past few years, where now waiters and waitresses, or servers, more accurately, are taxed on a percentage of their sales. Sometimes, if it's not a good tax night, they'll be taxed on money that they did not even earn.
It's absolutely ridiculous and totally unfounded. News Radio 1070, WINA 745. David Brown and Bill Ways are here on behalf of the Ron Paul candidacy. They are not affiliated with the campaign, but they are big supporters locally here, have done a lot for the campaign. And we will be back with more after this. All right, News Radio 1070 WINA. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Saturday special. It's the Schilling Show, where we always have a good time on Saturday mornings and give you a reason to wake up early, even though you don't really want to. You don't want to miss the Schilling Show. Ron Paul campaign is the topic, and here, speaking about Ron Paul's campaign, David Brown and Bill Ways. The number is 977-1070, and we are going through this half an hour so quickly that we're going to go on to the next issue that I'd like to ask you about, which is health care. And what are Ron Paul's ideas on health care? Certainly a big topic.
Well, I believe that his stance on it is the free market should take care of most of this. I know he believes in personal savings accounts, where you put money into an account, and when you're sick, you can use that money as you see fit for whatever health care services that you'd like to use, whether it's acupuncture, if you'd like to try holistic medicine, or if you'd like to go the route of the traditional medicine route. That it's your money. You should be able to spend it as you see fit on the medical care you see fit. This has another benefit in addition to you being able to get the treatment that you'd like to get. It also will make competition in the marketplace, which should drive prices down. Anytime the government gets involved, prices skyrocket. Anything you subsidize, you'll get more of. And if there's competition in the medical field, let's face it, it's the only field where technology has gone up and up and up, and prices have also gone up and up. Look at cell phones. They practically give those to you now if you buy a plan.
Practically, right.
Technology's gone through the roof in the medical industry, yet prices continue to go up. If you have a choice to spend your money how you choose to spend it, this will create competition, and this will drive prices down in the long run.
Whoever thought we'd be having to talk about a market system when for a long time in this country that was just what everybody expected would happen, and now we have government seemingly controlling every aspect of our lives.